We're speaking with Paul Haines, Principal of NOAA Consulting. Welcome today, Paul.
Thanks, Gordon.
Now tell us a bit about yourself and how it led you to PPDM.
Well, I've been in the oil industry probably longer than I care to think about, even starting way back as a roustabout. But after college, I started with Schlumberger as a wireline engineer. And through that part of my career, I was in Venezuela and trying to implement Finder, which was a data management solution that was actually based on PPDM. That was really my first introduction to PPDM back in the early 90s when it was just forming. So the whole concept of industry standards, of people with like backgrounds getting together to talk about concepts and standards and things that were common across the industry without actually giving away any of their intellectual property, I thought was intriguing. So I've actually been, in one way or another, involved with PPDM for about the past 14 or so years. And I've really gone from a more field-based or field-oriented technical background into data management through first my career with Schlumberger, and then going in and working for Kerr-McGee as their manager of data management for oil and gas, and now for the past 4 years being a consultant.
Your work as a consultant brings you into a contact with quite a few companies in the oil patch. Tell us about some of the value that they see in PPDM.
Well, right. I would say in the past 4 years I've worked with 3 of the 5 super majors, plus smaller companies, independents, mid-sized independents, and full vertical companies such as a Marathon. And in each one of those cases over the past 4 years, they have either been members of PPDM or wanted to leverage some of the data model standards or data management standards that PPDM has implemented as the industry standard IP that they offer the industry. And I'd say the value really comes from the breadth of, in my solutions that I've been involved with, the breadth of the model and the depth of the thought processes behind how the PPDM data model has actually been implemented at the base level. So all the way from talking about just strategy and vision for information management at a company, all the way down to the nitty-gritty of reference codes, tables, how to make information management solutions actually work in the implementation.
And what's the feedback you've been getting from your clients?
Well, so far, success. I mean, information management is a difficult domain, a different type of nut to crack. The industry's been trying to do it for a long time. It seems to keep surfacing about every 3 to 5 years that the interest in information management begins to ramp up as either technology changes or as the industry has a whole nother wave of mergers and acquisitions, divestitures, things like that. That's really when information management all of a sudden rears its ugly head, because people can't find the data, they're trying to leverage the value of the data, things like that. And PPDM as a standard has often been a key part of helping them see that value.
Now, PPDM has a number of major initiatives going on right now. Tell us about some of them that excite you the most.
Well, I think the one that currently has been exciting me the most is the What is a Well Phase 2, which I've been involved in as a sponsor representing Hess. Hess was a sponsor. They put in their money, but they just didn't have the manpower to actually sit at the table. So they asked me to be the representative, and I was able to be very involved in that. Prior to that, the What is a Well Phase 1 work group, I provided some reviewing, some of my knowledge and experience from Schlumberger and other companies towards that effort. So I think, you know, the whole concept of what is a well phase two, the statuses and classifications, the well symbology that we've worked through as a work group and then provided to the industry just came out a few months ago, and I think it will have far-reaching positive effects in the industry as they really look at the knowledge base that we've captured in the what is a well phase two results, and as people actually start implementing that into their information management environment.
There's some tremendous work that's been done there, and it's available for people to look at
Right.
ppdm.org. When you start looking down the line in the next few years, where do you see PPDM, where do you see them going?
The last several years have been major changes for PPDM, and we decided to change the name of PPDM as an organization to the Professional Petroleum Data Management Association. That wasn't just some flippant thing we did. So as an association, we really wanted to look at what data management meant to the industry. And so down the road, I'd say the next 2 to 5 years, the biggest real efforts will be around trying to take what we've done so far and expand that into training, into education, into other data management standards beyond the data model. And our work with other associations, such as Energistics, such as DAMA, such as the API, are efforts towards that.
Now, anything else that you'd like to talk about that I may not have asked you about?
Well, I'm on the board of PPDM, and I've been on the board about 3 years. That gives me a lot of satisfaction, and primarily working with the PPDM operations group, Trudy, and that whole crew is very rewarding for me, as well as working with the other members of the board, which are a very professional group, and trying to help organize and move the strategy of PPDM forward in a fashion that we can look out 3 to 5 years and help influence Trudy's operations plan and business plan. Has been rewarding for me. Getting to work with different people from different sectors, whether it's operators, whether it's other vendors, or data providers as members of the board, has been rewarding for me personally. And also, I think, to help influence NOAA's direction, NOAA Consulting's direction, in how we set out to help solve information management problems in the industry.
Just out of curiosity, where does the name NOAA Consulting come from?
Well, the real story is not all that exciting. It actually just came from a co-owner who had another company called NOAA Solutions, so we wanted to make that tie. Usually when somebody asks me that question, I talk about Noah's Ark and trying to bring together 2 by 2 certain professionals to help solve major problems in the world, such as information management. But that's just my story.
Okay, your nose starts to grow as you...
Yeah.
As a member of the board, what do you think the greatest challenges are facing PPDM?
I think the biggest challenge is really figuring out how we want to grow. There's, do we grow globally? Do we want to grow towards national oil companies? How do we take the limited amount of resources that we have within the PPDM association and best leverage those resources to benefit PPDM and to benefit the industry? Usually when we have passionate discussions at the board level, it's around the strategic direction and how fast to grow, what direction to grow, things like that. The revenue balance of PPDM, how fast do we want to expand the revenue? If you look at a piece of pie, what that pie looks like as far as where we get revenue from, making those kinds of strategic decisions. There's no one right answer. So setting out those directions and those strategies is, I think, the greatest challenge.
Now, I see that there are a lot of members in North America and I understand Australia as well. Do you see expansion into new areas of the globe as an important factor?
Absolutely. The big question is how fast and where do we expand to? Do we focus on a continent at a time? Do we focus on national oil companies? Do we focus on trying to leverage our relationships with our super major members to try to grow into those areas of the world, those geographies that they have the most influence and the most interest in? Those are the kinds of questions that we need to answer.
Any other thoughts before we close?
No, I think it's a really exciting time for PPDM, as seen by the fact that we have more board members running than we have slots on the board. People see the success, the traction that PPDM has gained within the industry, and they want to be a part of that success. Whereas, 3 to 5 years ago, perhaps it was tough to find 12 people that actually would take the time and get involved in PPDM at the board level.
Paul, thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking with you.